Cool, we are broadcasting and we are recording. Vanessa, can you just confirm that we are recording? On your screen it shows record?
We are recording.
Okay, good. Hello, everyone who is joining. Oh my God, there's so many things on the screen. Hi, everyone who's joining. Tell us where you are coming from. And special welcome to those of you who were here for this last month. And we had to cancel, which is perfectly fine. But I know there was some people who were disappointed. So I hope you made it here today and you can learn with us today.
Here we go.
Where is my chat? Sometimes I love Zoom, sometimes I don't. Hello.
Ooh, Chicago area.
Qatar, that's so cool. Yeah, so Danielle, as people are coming in, you will see that we are very, very international.
Yes, I love it.
So yeah, you are now globally reaching our coaches.
That's awesome.
And also FYI, so we are recording this. We are not YouTubing today. We have upgraded our license so that everyone can come in on Zoom and offer their thoughts, questions, etc. So just from now on, when you come into webinars, just remember that please come to Zoom. And if you miss it, that's okay. We will definitely record everything as usual and it will make it on YouTube later, but it won't be live on YouTube. So we will get started and I will vanish because today Nessa is in charge of behalf of Coacharia and Danielle is our lovely speaker. But before I go, what you have on your screen is Awake, Aware, Arise, our awesome event, summit, conference, whatever you want to call it, that is happening over 5 weeks. So 5 weeks, 4 days a week, 3 sessions per day, follow the sun schedule, so that people from all around the world can attend at least 2 sessions per day if they want to. This event is absolutely free, so if you haven't registered yet, please register. And please tell your friends and colleagues and anybody because, yeah, we upgraded our license, so people can, whoever wants to come in, will be able to come in. But we're super excited for the caliber of speakers that we have, and it's pretty awesome. So, yeah, please register. I'm going to actually put, someone said that they tried to register. So I'm not sure where you're registering because it definitely should not say that the event is finished, hasn't even started. But I'll put a link in the chat in a second so that you can take a look and register. Hi from Poland, hi Eva. And one more note on Awake, Aware, Arise. We are doing something a little different than what you're used to. So this event does carry CCEU credits for ICF, for those of you who are credentialed with ICF and want to renew. And it also carries CPD credits for those of you who are accredited with EMCC. In order to get those credits, you need to purchase the number of credits that you want to then earn. We are doing it this way because there's just so many of these things happening now that it's become quite a big administrative burden. So we are going to start charging for nominal fee for CCEUs starting with this conference. So pretty please, if you want to earn CCEUs or CPD credits, you're more than welcome to, but you need to purchase them. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing and vanish, and I will just put in a second the direct registration link where you can also purchase those credits. So have fun, girls, ladies, women, not girls.
All right, so I will take it away. First of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here, and it's awesome to see all the places everyone is coming from. I'm coming to you from Connecticut in the United States. And I have a presentation that I'm going to share. And then from there, I did want to leave some time for questions. So if you have any questions throughout the presentation, feel free to just put it in the chat. And then we'll have a little question and answer session at the end. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So hopefully you guys can all see this. I'll go to the next page. So I am Danielle Hunter. So I'm the owner and creative director of Hunter Design Studio. So I am an independent graphic designer. I work with all different kinds of small business clients locally in New England. So think Massachusetts, Connecticut, New York, but then also remotely around the globe. So my main services include branding, website design, and content marketing for mostly small businesses, but I also work with larger businesses as well. And my main goal is to help your brand shine with clean and purposeful visuals that really portray your true brand personality. Before I started my own business, about 2 years ago now, I did work in New York City for around 8 years. I was in-house. I worked for the Brooklyn Nets. And then for a couple of years, I was on the agency side. So I worked with a handful of different CPG, food brands and beverage brands, which was really awesome. And then decided to start on my own and work with smaller businesses, which I love because you can really see such a big difference when they change their visuals. So another thing that I do now that I have a more flexible schedule is I teach 1 day a week at a local university, which has been really great. I actually just had class this morning, so a lot of speaking today, which is great. So I just wanted to give you a quick overview of the type of clients that I work with. It's usually one of 3 kinds of businesses. So again, they're usually smaller and they're either a brand that has an existing logo and look and they need print collateral like packaging, or it's a new brand that wants to create a whole identity. They don't really have any sort of visuals. And then finally, so Morse Constructions is an example of this. They needed a rebrand, so they've been around for decades and they just haven't touched their visuals. So they wanted someone to come in and kind of just update things. So we did a new column graphic and different typography and things like that. So my ideal client is someone who I can work with through all those 3 stages that I talked about. So branding, websites design, which we're going to get really into the meat of it today, and then doing collateral, like, for example, this is their storefront. So I designed those decals as well. So moving on to the website overview. So what is included in a good website? When you think about brands that you love, a lot of times there's a promise that's made in their marketing, and then they deliver on that promise in their product or service. So I really want you to think about your brand in that way when you're working on your website or looking at another person's website. And I have this quote here from Donald Miller, which I think really kind of encompasses all of this really well. So he says, good stories are like life with the dull parts taken out, and effective branding follows that same framework. So you want to tell a story that is true to you and authentic, but you don't want to have too much clutter in there. And if you want to learn more from Donald Miller, I do recommend his book, Building a Story Brand, which I have right here. And I'll share a link after that has a link to his book if you want to purchase it. But I'm going to touch on a lot of points that he makes. And it's really about clarifying your message, being clean and concise so that people know exactly who you are and what you do. So the goal when you are designing any website is to control that narrative. So the essence of branding is to create simple and relevant messaging and to repeat that over and over, essentially so that it's branded into people's minds. So if you think about when you go to any website, if you're looking at a new product or service that you personally want to invest in, a lot of times if you can't figure out who they are, what they do, or why they're good at what they do, you're probably going to leave that site within 3 to 5 seconds. So you want to make sure when you're building your own site that those things are front and center, very clear, so that people can learn more about you. So the important parts of an effective website, I list them here. So clean and easy to navigate, content presented in order of importance, appropriate copy and visuals that prove the value of your services, and then the use of CTAs, which are call to action buttons that lead the viewer throughout the site. So when I say clean and easy to navigate, you want to have as little as possible, but clearly explaining who you are on your homepage. So something like a mission statement, a photo of you or your team, or a photo of your product. You want clean navigation, usually 1 to 2 words is best. So home, about, services, things like that. And then presented in order of importance. So if you, for example, want people to go to your blog, you don't want that to be the last thing in your navigation. You want that to be the first or second, because that's naturally how people read left to right and just kind of go through things on your website. Appropriate copy and visuals. So I think brand photo shoots are really big right now. And I think that's great because that's what you want to show on your website. A picture of you, your team, your product, you talking to a group of people, or you working with a client. Like those things are so much more impactful than a stock photo of someone else or a stock photo of a notebook or things like that. And then finally, CTA buttons, we'll get into that a little further down, but you want to think about how you want someone to go through your site and make it easy for them to go that way. So using buttons to kind of lead people where you want them to go. So an overview of your homepage. I say here above the fold, and that's really a design term back from the days of when everything was really just print and newspaper. But the whole idea is if you had purchased a newspaper and you looked at the front of it, that's above the fold. The piece that's folded underneath is below the fold. And if people aren't interested, they're never going to unfold that newspaper and look at that other side. So I want you to think about your website in the same way. So this is a snapshot of my homepage, and this would be considered above the fold. So these are all the things that you want on that first half of your homepage, so that if no one ever scrolls down, they're still going to get all of this information. So first, who you are. Second, what you do, your mission statement, and then finally that call to action. So for me, I usually want my clients to learn more about me, my background, my expertise. So my main call to action is to learn more about me, but yours could be a bunch of different things. Like maybe schedule a consultation or view our services, contact me, stuff like that. So diving into that a little more, I did outline some more examples that you could use. So like I was saying before, learn more, contact us, schedule a consultation, view our pricing. I would say in terms of your navigation, it's good to use 1 or 2 words, but for CTAs, you can do like a small sentence. You just kind of want to have like nice language that's encouraging people to do different things. So calling them to action, literally. And again, using those buttons to guide your visitor throughout the site. So this is again an example of my website, but if you scroll down below that first half, I have testimonials, I have some facts about me, but then I have 2 CTAs at the bottom telling people where they can go next without scrolling back up to the navigation. So they can view my services or they can view client work. So those are 2 examples. And another thing that I always like to say is that you want to make sure that your contact page is easy to find, just because if anyone ever wants to contact you directly, you want to make sure they're not searching all over your site to do that. You just want an easy 1-click so they can either email you or fill out a contact form, something like that. So the next 3 pages, I just have some visual examples that I personally don't know these people. I just searched for different coaches, and I just want to kind of have you look at them and critique them a little bit and see what each of them did in terms of their homepage. So this first one, Phoebe Jenkins. So you can tell she's a health coach. It's said right here. There's a nice photo of her looking straight at the camera to instill trust. I feel like I get a good gist of who she is. And then also if you look at her navigation, you can see that she does health coaching, but she also does yoga and personal training. And if I wanted to contact her or go to her Instagram, both of those things are right there, which is great. So another example, so Ellen Palmer is someone that I found when I was just searching. Again, you can tell that she does life and health coaching, specifically with young adults, it looks like. She does a lot of speaking at events. And then what I really like about her homepage is that it's not just a mission statement, it really speaks to the visitor. So she says, are you ready to live your ideal life? I'll show you how. And if I was looking for a health coach, I think, of course, I'd be like, yes, that's what I'm looking for. So then she goes further into saying that she'll help you get unstuck, find balance, and live inspired. And then that schedule a complimentary call is right there at the bottom, which is perfect. So my last example, so this is more of a business. I think it's a team of coaches. I didn't really know a ton about them when I clicked through on Google, but I really like how they handled their homepage. So they spell it right out, we are business coaches. And then they have that secondary mission statement, driven to make your success a reality. And they have 2 calls to action. So I'm assuming that they know that their client base is either someone who knows they want to connect with the coach or someone who is thinking, I don't know, do I need a coach? And is a little more skeptical. So they speak to both of those people by having 2 CTAs, one saying, do I need a coach? And the other one directly connect with the coach. And then again, another thing they have on here is connect with a coach right up here in the corner, which is really great. Similar to contact me or something like that. Prominent, I definitely know where it is. And then they also have testimonials that are video testimonials, which is a great thing that you can include on your site today. And sometimes that can be a little hard to get, but if you do have any clients who really loved working with you, it's a great thing to have on there if you can. So website design and copy. How do you choose appropriate design elements and write engaging copy? For someone who's not a designer, this can be one of the hardest things to know what and where do you put things, how do you say what you need to say. So I just kind of wanted to go through a couple points that might help direct you a little bit. So when I start working with any web design client, I go through the same process every time. And I laid this out here because you guys can actually go through this process by yourself as well. So when you start with a brief, you really want to ask yourself, why am I doing this? What is the goal of either having a website or revamping my website? What kind of style am I envisioning? Like, what makes sense for your business? And then from there, you research maybe other coaches, other people in your industry. What are they doing that you like? What are they doing that you don't like? After that, you can start brainstorming a little bit about how you envision your site and then putting together a mood board. So I, as a designer, put together mood boards of, it doesn't have to be a website. It could be a logo or a color palette that intrigues me that I think works well, or a line or a shape. It can be anything like that that might be able to translate into your website. And then you also want to put together a sitemap and a wireframe, which we'll get into more in the next slide. From there, you can go to creation and start building things, but it's important to kind of get these 2 things down before you even start jumping into the program and creating anything. So design offline first. I say this all the time, but form follows function. So that's why you really should think about your brief while you're doing what you're doing, while you're updating things, and going through a little research and discovery so that you can have a website that fits your business. So two of those things in the discovery phase, sitemap and wireframes. So a sitemap is literally just a Word document. It can outline your navigation, your homepage copy, those CTAs, and then the same thing for the interior pages as well. The wireframes is something that you can just do a rough sketch of, maybe in a notebook. If you happen to use Photoshop or some other design program like Canva, you could start laying things out at that point and putting where your logo might go. Is it going to be on the left? Is it going to be in the center on the navigation bar? What type of header images are you thinking of? Different design elements. And I just think it's important to note here, like I said before, you want to complete all these things before you really start designing and building your website and the program, just because once you're in Squarespace or WordPress, a lot of times you're limited to the template or different functions, and you really want to make sure you have an idea of what you want, and then you can kind of go from there. So another big part of your site, after you think about the layout and the content, is copywriting. I'm not a copywriter, but it is very important that you have your ideal customer in mind. You want to speak about you and your business, but customers are really interested in themselves because they're human and they have a need. So you want to speak to that need and be authentic and create trust. So some quick examples of how you could do that is maybe you have a mission statement or a tagline that says something like, "We understand how it feels to blank," or "Like you, we're frustrated by blank." There's more examples on there too, but just thinking about how you can really speak to your customer, like that example I showed before of the homepage, she really narrowed down what her clients want, and she speaks directly to them in her homepage, which is great. Some other things that you can include to establish trust, which are really helpful, are having brief testimonials. So you can ask clients who you've worked with for those at the end of the project, or if you have a great relationship with them, statistics about how many people come back to work with you, maybe partner logos or people that you work with that may be influential. And then the final thing that I wanted to touch upon is social media. So this is not your website, obviously, but you should really think of it as an extension of your website, regardless of what platform you're on. This is an example of Instagram, but you want to make sure that those same things that we discussed with the homepage are available on your social media. So your name, what you do, how to contact you, and either a link to your website, or I use something called Linktree, which is free to use. And it looks like this in Instagram. But when you click through, you can have all these links on there. So I like to have short, succinct links, like I was saying with your navigation, just quick things like client work, service packages, contact. If you have a blog, this is a great place to put that as well. So then the final thing that I wanted to touch upon is some checklists. So what to prepare before approaching either a web developer or a designer. So these are some things that are also great to put together before you jump into changing things on your site or building a new site. So overall components that you really should have nailed down before you start building a site is a well-defined offering. So you want to know, what are your packages? What is your pricing? What specific things are you offering to your clients that maybe your competitors aren't? And why are you better at what you do than maybe they are? You want to have a mission statement that speaks to your target audience and a photo of you or your team. Like I said before, it's really great when you're looking at the camera instead of like looking down or to the side. That really, just like meeting someone in person, when you look at them directly, smile, shake their hand, that really creates trust. So you want to do the same thing and the digital space. And then client testimonials are great to add if you have them. A copy that clearly communicates your offerings and next steps to book. So having that contact button, encouraging people to schedule a free consultation, whatever it is. And then a well thought out and beautifully designed brand that highlights your attributes. So that's something like your logo. You want to use consistent colors, fonts, types of imagery. So if your brand colors are like purple and orange, maybe having brand photos that incorporate those colors so everything's really complementary. And then using a marketing strategy to drive traffic to your website. So this can be a million different things. Some examples could be having an email strategy. So building a campaign, driving people to your website. Maybe you post blogs and then promote them on Instagram, which essentially drives them to your website. Or you could work on your SEO, make sure all your images are small enough. I usually say around 300 to 500 kilobytes is as big as you want it to be. But that will make everything load faster, people will be able to find you easier, and then also hopefully stay on your site after those 3 to 5 first seconds. So digital asset checklists, this is really my bread and butter in terms of being a designer, but you want to have logo files that are vector, so either in AI, which is Illustrator, an EPS, or a high-res PNG. And then same thing for those design elements. If you have a certain pattern that you use in your branding and in the background of your website, a web designer is probably going to want those high-res files as well. So those, and then also brand colors, fonts, and illustrations, again, in those high-res files. Brand imagery is great. We talked about this a bit before, but it's really great to have images of your work or you speaking, you coaching different clients, photos of you and your team, maybe your workspace, maybe you have a really great office that's really comfortable and inviting. That would be a great thing to have. And then also client images to accompany your testimonials. So just another way to like really hammer things home. If you have a photo of a client right next to their testimonial, that's just another way to really make it authentic. So then finally, sitemap. This is just things that you should include in that outline when you're kind of writing out all the content that you want to have in your site. So having a navigation, writing out, it's going to say home, about, services, whatever it is in the order that you want it to be. And then thinking about the copy for each page, buttons and CTAs that you want to include, and then client testimonials, where are they going to go, how are they going to be worded, and any image options as well. So thank you. I know that was a lot of information and I kind of flew through it, but I would love to answer any questions that you have. I'll stop sharing my screen.
We do have one question here, Danielle. If you could, it's a request to touch on the do-it-yourself website.
So I really love Squarespace. I think similar platforms are WordPress or Wix. Personally, I think Squarespace is really the most intuitive platform to use, but that's what I would suggest as someone who starts out. They have a lot of templates that you can start with design-wise, which are really great, and then you can plug and play either text or images. And the other thing that they have is, I think it was 15 days before the pandemic, it might be longer now, but you can start building a site for free and decide if you want to do a full plan after that 15-day period. So there's really no pressure there, which is really nice.
Thanks. A follow-up question to that. How much should a template from a website service drive layout and design?
So it really depends. If you have an idea for a layout that you want to implement, there's usually ways in the back end to kind of play with things and fix that. But if you like the template and you want to go with it, that's great. So I don't know if that answers the question, but
Not sure.
yeah.
Is there a template that you would recommend? I think probably referring to like Squarespace or any of the others.
Not specific. It depends on who you are and what type of work that you do. They have suggestions in Squarespace, which is another great thing that they do. They separate all the themes by category, so you can click on coaching or small business or whatever, which is really helpful. Sorry, I think you're cutting out. I can't hear you.
Is that a little better?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
Okay.
So the question is, what about video testimonials? So I'm thinking maybe they're asking perhaps a service provider a recommendation on how to execute a good video testimonial. Jennifer, if you can expand on your question, that would be great.
I can start off by saying it doesn't have to be complicated. You can literally just ask them to take like a selfie video. That might be fine, or ask someone like a friend to take it for them, just like sitting on their couch or whatever. Or you could have them maybe come into your office and just film a video there. You could obviously pay for like a videographer to come and do testimonials, but that might be a bigger investment up front. But I think today, mobile, using your phone for videos is really easy. So that's a great way to include them. Oh, you're cutting out again.
A little better?
Yeah, it's so weird. It like goes out for a long period and then it comes back.
I am so sorry. I'm not sure what my
It's not your
technical difficulties are. You had a recommendation about image size. When it comes to video file size, what would you recommend there?
I actually don't know. So I know for Squarespace, if you go to their help center and type in that question, they usually have articles specifically on the sizes that you should be using. But obviously smaller is better. So
Well, I can come in with that. Actually, so what I recommend is you don't upload any videos to your site, that you actually have them on YouTube, because then they're going to stream faster. So like little videos, super short things, yeah, sure, you can upload to your site, because most browsers can handle it very easily. But if you're looking at things like testimonials, etc., just becomes really heavy load on a site that, you know, is a small business site. So even at Coacharia, there isn't a single video, I think, that we host actually on the website. The videos are either public or they're unlisted on YouTube, or you can use other services and yeah, just embed the video. That way it just makes the experience for the end user easier.
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I don't work with a lot of like longer videos, so the testimonials should be like 5 seconds. So yeah.
Another question we have here on the video testimonial. So in your opinion, would you say, is there an expiration date? Meaning, should they be rotated in and out based off of their age of the video?
No, I think it's really up to you if you think it's relevant or not. Obviously, if it's been a while, then maybe take it down and get a new one. I don't think there's a specific time limit on them.
Can I add to that? And then also I want to answer another question that's on here. Sorry, guys. You get me started. I can't stop. Not that anyone asks me to even start. So for videos in the coaching world specifically, I think what's important is you'll know the content you're uploading. So when you upload it, just kind of make a note if there's anything referential in there. There shouldn't be, but you know, if there's a reference to something in events or pop culture or whatever. I mean, right now, all the COVID stuff is relevant, but hopefully in a couple years, it'll look like old news and it'll be dated, hopefully. But that's the kinds of things that I would only pay attention to. The other thing I would pay attention to, again, because of the coaching world. So we all interact with different kinds of people, and usually they're wonderful. But every now and then there's someone who isn't. So if you have a testimonial, for example, from someone who, I don't know, has joined a cult or got arrested, I don't know, hopefully none of those things. I'm being extreme for a reason. If that happens, that's the other reason you would take down a video. So I only say this because I've had to do that before. So it does happen sometimes. So that's my comment on aging of videos. And the other thing I wanted to say, someone had asked about top-line SEO tips. I'm sure Danielle will answer whatever she wants to, but SEO is it's such a huge thing. It's probably a thing I've been doing the longest when it comes to marketing. I do have kind of like a mini course thing that I can do. So if anybody's interested in SEO, leave a comment in the chat. And if there's enough people interested, then I'll do a webinar in the future on SEO fully, because there's a lot there, even baseline.
Did you, Danielle, want to touch on anything regarding the top line SEO comment?
Yeah, sure. So in terms of design things that you can do for your SEO, like Magda said, there's so many things that you can do and it's very involved. But you want to make sure your images are small so that they can load fast. And then you also want to make sure you tag everything and label everything. So first label the image name, and then also, depending on your web platform, going in and writing that description of what it is and being very descriptive in terms of like what you're seeing in the image, so that if people are searching for that thing, it will come up in search.
Awesome. Another question regarding the call to action button. So in your opinion, can you include too many call to actions or the same call to action too many times, specifically the schedule a consultation, schedule a complimentary session type thing?
Yeah, you can definitely overdo it. But I think as a general rule, that's schedule a consultation is an important one. I personally have that, for example, on my contact page and on my home page. So I think 2 times is fine, or you could do it at the bottom of every page. So once someone scrolls through your content, they see it at the end as a reminder that they can schedule with you, which is a good way to kind of not have it in their face, but down at the bottom for them to click through if they're interested.
Can I address another question?
Yes.
Because someone asked about launching their website and then having a baseline and then changing things later. Absolutely fine. Frankly, that's called optimization. Not just from a SEO perspective, but from the usability, from what your company is about. There's so many ways that you can keep changing. So to put in perspective, when I joined Coach Aria, I did a whole rebrand and launched a new site, but it was maybe 10% of what the site is today. And frankly, the site's still not finished. Like, it's a work in progress always. So we won't be doing another big rebrand, fingers crossed, in foreseeable future. But it's, the website is a living thing. It's like your shop front, right? When seasons change and you have spring merchandise to put out, you put out spring merchandise, and you won't have the same merchandise in winter. Same thing for the website. It should be a living thing, and it should evolve as you and your business evolves.
Yeah, that's a great point. I just saw a question come through that I wanted to address. So pop-ups, in terms of like asking people to subscribe to your email list or whatever, I think they're great. I personally, which is something you can do in Squarespace, have it so that if someone's cursor goes to X out of my website, it pops up and says, do you want to subscribe? Like, hate to see you go type thing. I think when they pop up immediately, sometimes that can be annoying. So having it be like 10 seconds in, or when they scroll 3/4 of the way down the page, there should be options to do that in your web platform. I can't hear you again. I'm so sorry.
How about now?
Okay. Yeah, you're good now.
I'm sorry, Danielle.
It's totally fine.
So somebody had a question regarding maybe just giving some broad views on like the aesthetics, the visual appeal of a website, just kind of overall fonts, wordiness, images, number of pages, all that good stuff.
Okay. Yeah, so my personal design style is more simple and clean. And the reason for that is I think less clutter makes people be able to focus really on what you're trying to communicate. So like I was saying with the homepage, just keeping it simple, like having an image, having a mission statement, and then having that call to action and a clean navigation. So no more than 5 to 7 pages, I think, on that main navigation. You can have more interior pages, but those top line navigation options should be around that number. And yeah, try not to be too wordy because honestly, a lot of people just don't read that much into it. They're skimming. So making what's important, maybe like a boldface quote, and then having a little information underneath is always good, but making sure that you're not overloading your site. Oh, it's not coming through again.
I promise this will end eventually with these technical issues. If you could just discuss maybe a little bit on colors and fonts, maybe some of the practices there.
Yeah, so that really depends on your brand, but you want to use consistent colors, fonts. So I like to say pick a header font and make sure all of your headers are that font in the same size, and then pick body copy. So for your main body text, that will be a less bold, less prominent font that's easy to read. And then your color palette, I would say pick 2 to 3 main colors, and then you could have like a couple complementary colors to use throughout the site. But try to keep everything consistent page to page. So everything kind of looks like a family and people recognize that it's you every single page that they land on.
Very cool. Let me see if there's any-
Oh yes, I love that Coolers site. That's great.
Anything. Perfect. As far as look and feel, so overall what I'm getting, it kind of seems like just simple, clean, contemporary, maybe contemporary is a little too specific, but probably a little bit closer to neutral than extreme, pending your brand, keeping it light, feeling, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, if your brand colors are bright orange, like by all means use the bright orange. That's completely fine. But just being consistent and, you know, thinking about if it looks and feels like your business. Kind of going back to the fonts, a good font tool that you can use, Google Fonts is really great. It's free to download them, and a lot of them work really well with the different web platforms. And you can download them for PC, Macs, share them with your team. So I really love getting fonts from there.
Nice. Any absolute in bold, underlined?
You kind of cut out there. You just overview, like any last thoughts?
As far as not to do, like bolded, underlined, don't go down this path, avoid anything like that.
I think a big one is overloading with text. So you don't want to have like a big long paragraph on any of your pages because people are going to get overwhelmed and move on. I'm trying to think what else.
So even if your About Me page, because I would say maybe perhaps in some cases, depending on the coach's professional background, personal experiences, all that good stuff with how they want to communicate who they are, even in there, you would say keep it less is best.
Yes, I would try to figure out exactly what you want to say about yourself that's going to appeal to your ideal client and put that in there. I don't think you need a ton of extra stuff, but if you need to put in like fun facts about you or whatever, just make sure you break it into sections so that it's not just one big block of text, if that makes sense.
No, totally. Quick question came through. Any best practices to suggest related to listing, session, or package pricing on a website? Or is that something that you would say having the consumer make a buying decision based on your content?
Yeah, I think that's up to you. Some people like to be really transparent and have their package pricing out there. Other people like to disclose that after they meet someone or have a call with someone. I personally feel like if you have a set pricing, there's no harm in sharing that if you're not going to be changing it. I think it lets people know what you're worth, and then also kind of steers you towards the right client. Like if someone either can't afford you or is in that range that they're looking for, they're going to move on and you're going to have a client that really is a great fit for you. So I think it's worth putting out there.
Yeah. Great tips. Great tips. I guess in closing, anything you'd like to leave as a final closing statement for us, Danielle?
I think just think about, like, be thoughtful about what you put on your website and try to put yourself in the shoes of your ideal client when you're designing it or putting together copy or picking images. I think that's the best way to kind of frame it into what you're going for and who you're targeting. So yeah, I think that's it. Thank you so much for having me. I really, really appreciate it. And if you want to reach out, my email is danielle@hunterdesignstudio.co. So feel free to email me. And my website is hunterdesignstudio.co. So thank you so much.
Hunter Design Studio, hunterdesignstudio.co.
Yeah, I can put it in the chat.
Fantastic. So again, for everybody here, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you again. Round of applause. They're cheering in the audience. Thank you so much, Danielle, for your expertise and your time today. Today is I lost my camera. Today is a part of our Business of Coaching series, so there will not be any CEU credit for this class. This is purely a resource for everybody on the business development aspects of coaching. Again, if you do have any other questions, definitely feel free to drop them in the chat, send us an email, send us a pigeon, even a smoke signal. We will get back to you. Maybe not with the smoke signal, but we will get back in touch with you and we can definitely drop them on, oh my goodness, my words are escaping me, Danielle. We have a platform for our community. And we can definitely follow up there in the forum. So Danielle, thank you so much. Will this recording be on our YouTube channel? Yes, definitely subscribe to Coacharia. All of our videos will be available on our channel. Again, Danielle, thank you so much for your time and your expertise. It was absolutely wonderful to meet you, and we really appreciate your time today. Thank you so much, everybody. You're welcome. Have a great day.